What up, guys? This is Tommy 10, the Life Man, and I want to make another YouTube video. And this is gonna be a YouTube video about the most important things you should always remember when you're reading a book. I'm talking about when you're reading a non-fictional book. If you're reading a book that's like education for your knowledge, and you're reading like self-help book or some type of motivational book or book about finance, book about money, the most important thing that I learned about reading books is that um, when you read a book, there are several ways you can memorize the book. When you read a book, when you want to gain knowledge and have better memorization. So, my opinion, the best way to remember when reading a book is, number one, is highlight it. When you read a book and you want to have a good memorization of what you just read, so you gain knowledge and get smarter from reading your book, is highlight it. Highlight it with a highlighter. Uh, it could be any color highlighter. It don't matter. It could be even a pink highlighter. But for me, I don't never highlight my books. It's because I respect my books when I read it, and so I never highlight books when I read it. All right, that's option number one when you read books, to have a good memorization. Uh, Option number two is reread what you just read. So that means whatever you just read that you think is important to you, that in the book that's important to you, reread it again to memorize it. It's kind of like studying. Pretty much I like learning. I love learning. Learning is fun. Learning is exciting, but I don't really like studying. Studying to me, it gets pretty boring. Um, yeah, studying to me, it gets pretty boring because you're repeating the same thing over and over in your head. So that's option number two. Reread what you just read. Option number three is um, get get a journal or a notebook and then write down what you just read. That's option number three. So when you read a book, instead of highlighting it and rereading it, you could write down what you just learned inside your journal or notebook, and then you could read it from there. You could read what you just learned from a chapter book, or any non-fictional books. So that is the three most important things that I learned from reading books. Educational books. It could be math, about money or health, or self-help books. So that's my advice for young teenagers, or even kids, or even adults. If you love reading books, good for you. Books will make you smarter. Just make sure you study and reread what you just read. Because when you just read books and you never go back and study what you just read, then you're not gonna gain much knowledge from not rereading and not restudying what you just read. I realize that when I read books, I do gain knowledge, but I do oftentimes lose memories, lost memories of what I just read, and I realize, oh, I gotta go, study what I just read from a book, and that's the only way you get smarter, by studying what you just read from a non-fictional book. It could even be a book about a crime or true crime. It could be a book about someone got murdered, and so that's my best advice for young people who love to read books. Um, or even old people. Now, old people, they should know about this. You have three options to do after you read a book. You know, and once you finish the book, that's a good thing. But you should always remember in your head that you could either highlight it when you read a book, or you could either reread it, or you could write down what you read from what you just read, from whatever page you just read. Like, you could write down uh, the same sentences of what you read in the book, and then you could reread it and have a good memorization for a life advice, a life lesson that you learn from a book. And that's what I like about reading books. So thanks for watching. I hope y'all enjoy. Have a beautiful day. If you're having a bad day, try to change that day and make it better.